Hello, everybody. It's 𝗏𝗏 Eisenhower. I am here today with just my most amazing, beautiful sister, Jen McCarty. I always love doing collaborations, and just it was more like a discussion between her and I. She does extraordinary work. She's an author and really is bringing in the twin flame codes and just ascension codes and just great wisdom and knowledge. What she has produced and put out there is just incredible. She started a Facebook group about the event is happening, right? That's what it was called, like a long time ago. Around the time I met her, and I had put out a page, and we realized, wow, how parallel and how connected and how similar our work is. And then we came to discover how close in age we are. We're born like within a week of each other, same year. And just the likeness is incredible. And it's just been amazing to know you and to just be working this energy for the planet in service to humanity, to really help with this awakening and who we truly are and what our greater potential is. And you do it so divinely and beautifully. I love the ascension reports you do and the ceremonies that you hold. And I just always love sharing it and just bringing people's attention to the fact that you're doing what you do, even though you already have such a big audience. Just the more the merrier. So everybody, yeah, get to know Jen McCarty.
Oh, thank you. And I'd like to introduce you to my beautiful divine soul sister, 𝗏𝗏 Eisenhower, who I am just so blessed to walk this sacred path with. And I really, really deeply feel like we're all brothers and sisters, but there are some people, there are some soulmates that we're very, very close to on a frequency and vibrational level. And I really, really deeply feel that with you, 𝗏𝗏, just in the fact that we were both born in London within 5 days of each other, both Libran, and that's a cardinal sign. We were both born on that equinox energy, when, you know, in that time of balance. And, you know, it's the sign of leadership, and we're both, you know, vanguarding so much in this movement. And when we join our forces together, it reaches so many people and it touches so many people, because we are singing from the same sheet, but we're singing from somehow there's different angles. And so we are presenting almost like a whole picture from the divine feminine, from the awakened divine feminine. And yeah, and I'm so grateful for all the times that we get to have these conversations, because we're such profoundly beautiful soul sisters. And I'm so grateful for your absolutely phenomenal work for humanity. When I first found you, I literally binge watched every single one of your videos on YouTube, and I was just like absorbing this most incredible information. And I haven't done that with anyone. Like you're literally one of the only people whose frequency that I connected with on such a pure level that I wanted to receive that gnosis from you, because I felt you're a pure channel. There are so many distortions in our community and in the world, but I feel like your transmission is just pristine. And so that's why it's always such an incredible honor to spend this time with you.
Wow, thank you so much, Jen. That means so much to me. Oh, and such a similar feeling we have for one another. It's just amazing. So here we are, and we're just together again. And I look forward to more that we'll do in the future. We both love astrology. We want to dive into that, but I know that there's some specific subjects that some people are calling forth. So we're going to kind of do a back and forth, asking questions to each other.
Sure. So yeah, so that's going to be the structure of how we're going to run this. We're just going to kind of like ask questions to each other and then sort of like respond a bit as well. So it's going to be really, really organic, and we're co-piloting this show. And so that's really, really exciting. So I think I'd like to start, if that's okay, 𝗏𝗏. My work has been reaching more people recently, as probably has your work. And I find that I'm going into the UFO community quite a lot. They're quite intrigued by what we're talking about. And I've had some requests from the UFO community to ask you a few questions. So my first question that I would like to ask you is, like, what is a UFO?
Well, we know that stands for unidentified flying object, and people have seen crafts for a very long time and taking note of that. Now there's different types of crafts we see. Some of the most famous have been the crashes, right? With the Roswell crash, many more crashes took place that weren't ever spoken about or noted. But all over the world, you know, people have had sightings. People have talked about it in sort of UFO disclosure circles all over the world, and many different types of craft, right? So some are reverse engineered, some are connected to military. Some of the military underground bases, the deep underground military bases, hold a lot of alien technology that was retrieved from some of these crashes. There are also other tactics and ways that these technologies became available through ET government treaties, which actually was blamed on my great-grandfather for selling us out to the Greys, which actually isn't true. So a lot of my work has been about unearthing the truth, and not just coming from a place of being biased or just wishful thinking. I was more than okay with disclosing whatever needed to be disclosed as long as it was true. But I came to find out that there were a lot of lies, a lot of false narratives that were being steered even in the disclosure community about Eisenhower being the one selling us or signing treaties. It was actually MJ-12 who did it behind his back. So groups like that and these three-letter organizations that were established in Truman's administration have their hands on alien technology. They reverse engineer craft. And some people that have worked in these projects and even Black Ops projects became whistleblowers. So they've helped us to understand what are UFOs, right? Going to places like 𝗏𝘃𝐵 Ranch and hot spots, you know, where the Phoenix lights took place and where people have had all sorts of experiences, even being taken on craft. We're dealing with very different types of things, different races, different beings, different scenarios. And then some have said that the majority of craft that people see actually isn't extraterrestrial or alien, it's reverse engineered craft. So it's hard to tell when people are saying, oh, I spotted something, where it comes from. But then you talk to those that have been contacted, that go off on ships, that have real experiences. And then of course, the movie Fire in the Sky, Travis Walton's story of going on a craft, which was something well noted and documented that had a lot of witnesses, right? And his experience might be very different than somebody else's experience. So with all of that, there's so much to share, and I was going to go into some more layers of it. But I guess the best thing to leave people with is look at the research of folks like Dr. Michael Salla. He talks about all these different kinds of crafts. The crafts that actually flew over the White House or the Capitol in 1952 were supposedly out of Antarctica, and they were Nazis, right? And Truman supposedly made an agreement and negotiation with the Nazis, and people didn't know, you know, are these actual extraterrestrials? Are they aliens? So it's sometimes hard to say. There's a vast history and a galactic history connected to this. There also is motherships and the more organic UFO connected to our consciousness that are related also to more benevolent higher beings that have interacted with the human race. There are non-intervention agreements. So there are some imposters and some things we have to be careful of and major discernment, of course. But we have the capacity to switch on our dormant DNA and create a Merkaba sort of field around our bodies. I know you know about this. And that can be considered UFO. So anything that's an unidentified flying object with all the possible options that flying craft might be is something that involves a lot of rabbit holes to understand. And when you think you understand, you might realize that you really don't, because there's so many layers and a lot of compartmentalism. But I've definitely learned a lot. I've researched a lot. And a lot more clarity has come to me in the last couple of years that I've been doing presentations about. But I love to tie it into Ascension, who we truly are, because to me, we're the most advanced technology. And this is what I love that you do. So just to kind of turn a question your way, the awakening human and what we're switching on that's been dormant. Talk to us about what that does to the physical vessel and what the energy of twin flame within us and what we can experience in the outer world, what that is all about.
Thank you, Laura. So I have learned this week, or remembered this week, that the precession of the equinoxes is actually connected to the star Sirius, and that we are twinned with the star Sirius, and our ecliptic circle goes a bit like that. So it starts at that point, it goes and it makes a short circle, a small circle, it goes back around, it comes back and makes a small circle, and it goes back. And when our sun and Sirius are at the furthest ends of that circle, that is when we're in the dark ages. And when Sirius and our sun get closer together in the inner circle, we are coming into the golden age. So I really, really feel deeply that this great cycle it has so much to teach us, because we have three major cycles: the 24-hour cycle, the year cycle, and the great year cycle. And that shows us clearly that we are connected to a binary system, and that binary system can be found in all aspects of creation, particularly in the atom. In the atom, there's the proton and the electron, and then in the center you have the neutron, and the neutron can be likened to the torus field, which is the plane of inertia. And so that's the 0 point field, where the polarized twins kind of are held within the proton. So it's really micro to macro. We're really learning the physics and the biology of the nature of reality. And when you understand that, it's a no-brainer. Of course we're made as twins. Of course in the soul consciousness is binary. It's masculine and feminine. It's the proton and the electron. Like this can be found in all elements of creation. So when you really, really understand that, and you sort of go down that rabbit hole, you soon understand everything. This is a pattern. This is God's stamp. This is the blueprint that can be found within all aspects of creation. So of course that applies to our soul consciousness. We were created out of the 𝗏𝗏, out of the unseen realms, or God, and from that place, that sort of well, you call it a 0 point field or whatever, that point of singularity, the binary system was created, whether that's the masculine and feminine twin flames, whether that's just every single atom in creation, whether that's the sun, whether that's the moon, and all of the planets have this going on, this binary relationship. So I think in order for us to really ascend, we have to understand about nature, and we have to understand that there's been a lot of distortions with the transmissions around the truth about nature and stuff like that. So now where I'm at on my journey is that I am aligning with very, very high level advanced information that is actually very, very old. It's like coming from 17th, 18th century texts, before all the programming, before the matrix kicked in on this level with all the disinformation. There was some very sacred texts that were all corroborating and all in alignment about astrology and about the atoms and about the sun and everything. So I think in order to really, really advance yourself, understand about the micro and the macro. That's step one. And then within that, it's understanding that everything meets in the heart. Like the heart is the balance between heaven and earth. And all of us are on this journey to anchor in heart consciousness. And so if you talk about twin flames, and twin flames are inextricably connected to each other, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, it doesn't matter. You're still connected to your twin. So your journey is, if you are awakened and remember, oh, I am a twin flame, find the way to your heart, find the way to anchor into your heart consciousness, because that is the most potent place of magnetism, arrival, and self-realization that you will ever experience. And so when you ground and anchor in your heart consciousness, then you are going to send out a magnetic pulse into the universe, which is going to attract your twin flame, that is going to help your twin flame who may be lost in the matrix, who may be lost in secularism, and it's going to really, really help your twin flame experience the enlightenment in their auric field that is going to light the path for them to make their way out of the darkness back home. So I mean, it's a hugely in-depth subject. I've written extensively about it in my book, particularly Twin Flames and the Event, but there's so much to say on it.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's been a huge focus of my research and work and experiences and downloads starting like from childhood. And I think, yeah, it has something to do with also our Libra energy. And I don't necessarily need to like define it by astrology, but we know the language of astrology describes so much. Like my study of medical astrology, I mean, the planets connect with our organs is very much what's happening within us that is reflected outside and vice versa. And our connection with everything is so profound. The planetary grid network, the stargates on the planet, and how that connects with our energy centers and our DNA and the circuitry of ourselves, and how, yeah, ascension is just the healing of the planetary grid network out of the reversal codes, out of the dark mother reversals, the inverted pentagram, the inversions, the dark mother, and this Satanism that has really cut off humans from the true mother source, which is now fully anchored in and here with the ether energy, the purifying elements of ether, to help us to do that inner cleansing and purification so that our DNA is able to move through the frequency fences and barriers that keep us looping, right? So just like you said, us having that awakened in us has like a telepathic and magnetic effect on that person that's really meant to walk with us, because there is that soul connection from the beginning, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely spot on. So, Laura, were you aware of twin flames when you were younger?
I didn't really use the terminology. I was aware of all that. I mean, I focused on just sacred union, alchemical marriage, divine union, divine masculine and feminine, Christ-Sophia. Like the Sophia energy came to me really young. I'm like, nobody talks about this. Why doesn't anybody understand that energy? And I wouldn't say that I had it fully understood, but I just understood something that I was led to understand more and more, just about that greater story of the mother, the divine feminine, Tiamat exploding, falling into this lower harmonic universe, how that impacted our DNA, the presence of the Anunnaki and the fallen groups that hybridized with us, really compromised us and switched off so much of our DNA that we call junk DNA, right? So when you're talking about these activations and the transmissions that come through, it's really, and what I've, really felt into, and you do it so magnificently, the way you word things, is really switch this on. And this is really like our junk DNA holds the higher harmonic universes and holds the hierogamic union, which to me is like the sacred union evolving into the twin flame. And it's that rebuilding of our DNA architecture, the tree of life that holds the twin flame within us, that removing ourselves from the imposter energies, the Saturn moon matrix patriarchy that has created such imbalance in men and women that they are very easily prone to entity attachments, archonic forces, sabotage, and unconsciousness, to the point where they keep giving their power away to outer authority, right? So what I notice we have in common, and what you so brilliantly put into words in your book and in your writings and in your ascension reports, is this integration of polarity, the reawakening of these dormant strands, of opening up the treasure of what our junk DNA truly is, because it isn't junk, and it holds this sacred union, alchemical marriage, and the binary that integrates into the 0 point, that creates a Tori wave that heals the planetary grid network and begins to purify and open up the stargates. Because the amount of dark technologies and reversal energies that have been placed in these sacred places is unbelievable. And that's why I'm so glad you're where you are in England, and you've been working so much energy living there. I mean, just being born there is great, and waving from afar, but I really want to get my bum over there. I want and see you and be there again. And I know that you're playing such a huge role. And yeah, so that's kind of, it came into me at a young age in the form of downloads, but I didn't have the terminology. I didn't have a way to explain it. Right. And I know you had a massive Kundalini awakening, and then all of a sudden the downloads and the words came, right? So talk to us about that.
Well, actually, what happened was that I always knew that I had a true love. I used to just call it a true love, that there was someone that would be perfectly matched to me on a soul level. Yeah, but I didn't call it twin flames. But when I was 15, so something really interesting, my mum said to me, "Oh, Jen, I didn't know there was something a little bit up with you when you were younger, because when you were 5 years old, Sister Anna asked all the kids to bring in a book, their favorite book, to school, and she said you brought in an astrology book." So I think that's kind of wild. And also I lived with an absolutely amazing astrologer, so that was where my soul chose to incarnate into this space, where that conversation was very, very rife. So I think that was part of my medicine of who I am. But then when I got to age 15, I got really, really, really deeply into astrology, and I collected all astrology magazines and stuff. And then I got into Linda Goodman, and I read Linda Goodman's book, Love Signs. And I read the introduction about over 1,000 times, and it had this transmission about twin flames. And as I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, this is my truth. Oh my God, this is my truth. This is my truth. And so I would always just go back to it. Like every day I would just read it. I'd read it sometimes like 5 times in a row, and it would just be like imprinting me with the knowing that that was my path, and that I would at some point come into unification with my twin flame. So yeah, that was my journey, really, with astrology and twin flames. And then you know, I got on a spiritual path very, very young, and then I went to India when I was 21, and through chanting the mantra Om Namah Shivaya, I ended up having going into God realization. And I didn't even believe in God, because I'd come from this Catholic upbringing and this Catholic convent school where they were trying to say that God was this judgmental, terrible, like grey-bearded man in the sky. And I was just like, that's not God. I don't like the word God. I'm not into God. And I was just like, you know, I'm into spirituality, but I'm not into God. And then when I got to the top of the mountain and I was chanting Om Namah Shivaya, and then my third eye just like kind of like sort of like short circuited, it just like sparked, and I was like, oh my God. And I saw this star, and I was like, oh my God, that's God. God is love. God is just the energy of creation. God is literally the name of our creator. And then I realized that I had this moment where my egoic identification just returned back to the ocean of oneness. And then I realized that we're all Christ, and Christ is the name of the you know, of our true heritage as children of God. We are all Christ, but that is within our potential. So we all hold the seed of Christ within us. Not everyone does that turn into the fruit of the Christ itself. So we're all born with that seed of the Christic seed, and it's you know, it's the choices that you make. Are you going to choose the left-hand path? Are you going to choose the right-hand path? Are you going to make choices that are very, very service to self? Are you going to choose the path of escapism, promiscuity? No one's judging you. There's no external force that's judging you. It's between you and you. But this is the choice that all humans have to make. Which path are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the path of service to yourself and hedonism and getting off your head and drunk and loads of sex and orgies and all that shit and polyamory and all that nonsense? Or are you going to choose the path of well, the right-hand path, which is devotion to God, devotion to your brothers and sisters, healing your inner child, atoning your own trauma, unraveling your own trauma, parenting yourself, understanding that none of us, unless you had enlightened parents, which pretty much none of us have, we are going to be traumatized on some level because of society, the matrix, and everything. And so the right-hand path is where you actually go in and you roll your sleeves up, you go, right, I'm going to heal myself, and I'm going to become the most exceptional version of myself. And then if you make that choice, great, but you know, bearing in mind there's that story or that myth that says, but I don't think it's a myth, I think it's true, that when our souls depart this world, we will be weighed against a feather.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, we'll be weighed. Sorry,
the goddess Mat is connected to that. M-A-A.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So that is very deep within me, that knowing and remembrance. But it's not, I don't make actions because of that. I just the actions that I make are helping with that. Do you know what I mean? But so at the end of the day, we are all on this journey where and in order to be light, you have to be good. You have to be good. You have to be kind. You have to love yourself. You have to understand that you have been given the job to parent your inner child. Mother, Father, God adores your inner child, and you are the one that God was like, right, I'm going to let Laura go. I'm going to let her go onto the earth plane. But you promise me when you're grown up, you are going to look after her, you're going to parent her, you're going to cherish her. So God gives us that job to parent our own self, and that is the path of mastery, of self-realization when we do that. So we love ourselves, and then when we love ourselves and we understand how traumatized we are, then you're like, oh my God, all my brothers and sisters are completely and utterly traumatized. I really, really have to be kind. Do you know what I mean? I have to be kind. Like, that is the path that I am on. I am on the path of serving my brothers and sisters and doing what I can to alleviate their suffering and alleviate their ignorance to whatever extent I can.
Absolutely.
And then, yeah, and then we come on the path of the, you know, and then when in that moment when our soul departs. Now, I've been thinking a lot, Laura, recently about the sun being a reincarnation portal. It's the hole in the sky and it makes perfect sense on an astrological level, because at the certain point when our soul, like me and you, we were like Libra, the sun was in the constellation of Libra, and we were like, right, we're coming in, so we're coming in. And so in that moment, so no doubt we come through the portal of the sun. I really feel that is a portal, is a very busy portal with loads of angels and like light beings, and like going, oh, okay, we've got this one coming today, that one going out. Oh, do you know what I mean? Oh yes, tick her off. Yeah, she's going to be a Libra with her Capricorn rising, and oh yes, and Mother Mary, and blah blah blah. And then when our soul comes through, of course we're going to get imprinted with the vibration of that constellation. It's an absolute no-brainer. Of course, like when Libra, we're coming in when the sun is balanced, such an auspicious time in the cycle of the wheel. Of course, that is going to have an effect on our character and our nature, as it is with all of the signs. Absolutely. So in that moment where our soul is weighed, you know, I believe, and I'm not 100%, I'm working this out at the moment, but I've got a feeling that if your soul weighs up and it's as light as a feather, I've got a feeling you go back through the sun portal. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't, I've got a feeling you go through the moon portal and you get reincarnated back into this cycle. That's my feeling.
Oh, neat. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Just a lot of thoughts about all that. Yeah. I mean, what's interesting about the time we were born, the nodes, the north and south node, which is symbolic of the 𝗟𝘂𝗧𝗏, the serpent biting its tail, the Saturn conjunct south node square the sun Pluto energies, really shows the deep work necessary to overcome the patriarchal programs. And this isn't just about like, oh, all men are patriarchal, women have fallen and snarled in that kind of programming too. There might be some like patternings that we see on a gender level, but I never like to put it down to gender, right? We've lived many lifetimes, people have worn many different hats and had a lot of different experiences. Everybody in humanity is overcoming this level of imbalance and the need to come into balance, because that balance and that integration of polarity is also, Libra's the sign of justice, harmony, and peace. So everybody's got a Libra somewhere. I mean, the thing is, even though Jen and I might be talking about Libra, you have to know no matter what sign you are, you hold all 12 pieces of the zodiac. What we're here to do as a humanity, I feel, is switch each other on, right? So somebody might have a predominance of Aries energy, and that's our polar opposite, right? So the integration of polarity is very important. The Aries and Libra integrate polarity. Pisces, Neptune, and Virgo, Earth, ruled by Mercury, integrate polarity, which means that we can anchor and ground the multidimensional on Earth. You know, Taurus, Venus, Earth sign, opposite Scorpio, Pluto, that integration of polarity. Cancer and Capricorn, integration of polarity. So what I feel is unity consciousness is that we switch each other on. We all have different attributes and different blueprints, different than the divine blueprint of 𝗏𝗏𝗏, but the map that we are given of the zodiac, I look at it like a treasure map, and that we live out these patternings, we go through initiations, and it takes us into the 0 point where the sort of the treasure is, right? And we open up the treasure and it's like, whoa, okay, we feel whole. We feel all parts of ourselves functioning, right? With the Libra scales able to balance it all. So, you know, the Libra energy is important, but every sign is important. The importance of Libra, though, is that you can find balance and wholeness with all 12 and understanding also the 13th. And that's a whole nother thing. But, yeah, I was similar to you. I was diving into this stuff. I didn't really go to school. I went to a convent when I moved back to England when I was 12 with Sister Anne, and you had Sister Anna. Yeah, and it was just that kind of God BS. And I always knew, and I would telepath with, you know, Christ on the cross, and I'd be like, are you really
serious?
Yeah, I'm like, this is nuts, right? And like there'd be some interesting sort of exchanges, but you know, I'm a kid, and so yeah, and I can see some of the books that I rediscovered that I had along the way, like In the House of the Moon, DNA and the I Ching, Astrology and the Rising of Kundalini. And yeah, it's just so helpful, and it's been so demonized and considered a pseudoscience. And even I get crazy feedback of people are like, oh, it's a cult. Oh, it's the devil. I'm like, serious? Well, the devil is an archetype in the tarot and in astrology. And the whole deal is, does the devil have power over you, or are you empowered? The higher octave of Saturn is being in self-mastery and being a teacher, which overrides the tyranny, the manipulation, and the control enslavement forces that come from that dark power of the so-called devil, right? But we have that archetype within us. We have to overcome it within ourselves. We win the war within over those darker forces. And the Satanism to me is just an inversion. I mean, that's a lot to talk about. I know we were going to go into secret space program stuff, and we'll maybe end on that note, but talk to us about that. Like when you tap into the whole archetype of the devil, or people saying astrology, or I don't know, you might not be given too hard of a time. Maybe you did in the beginning or have run into that. But when people really project that, you know, how some people like Doreen Virtue threw the baby out with the bathwater and said, oh, now I'm a born again Christian and all that stuff is evil. And it's all, what do you do with that? And I mean, obviously both of us know that that's absolute BS, but some people do misuse these tools. But what are your thoughts, and what comes up when I talk about all that?
So I've been studying with some very, very ancient teachers about astrology and stuff like that recently. And it is my understanding that all mythology, that the Bible is actually an autobiography of the human soul. And there are 4 levels within Judaism. And the first level is the literal. Oh, Abraham went to here in the Red Sea, and the Moses on the donkey and all this, yeah. Then the second level is I can't remember the exact order, but it's in Judaism. There's 4 levels. One of them's literal, one of them's parable, one of them's allegorical, and one of them's mystical. You do not learn the mystical truth of what the Bible's really, really saying until you're in your 40s in Judaism. So I'm really interested in that aspect, the mystical interpretation of the Bible. And it is my understanding that it is an autobiographical book about the soul. And it's about the sun, the journey of the sun. So all stories, like, so Jesus on the cross, Jesus is actually Jes, and Jes is fire in Egyptian, and so Jes is the sun. And so every single year at the well, I guess it would be at the Cancer point, which is the midsummer point. But at some point, the sun gets crucified. Which point would it be? Because obviously in Aries, the sun is rising. At Capricorn, at that 21st of December point, it's when it's at its lowest. So my understanding is that the devil is the darkness of the winter months, of the 6 months of the year in the northern hemisphere, where we go into darkness.
And we go into Capricorn, which is ruled by that archetype. Anyway, keep going.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and Jerusalem and Zion is the summer solstice point. We're all getting to the point where the sun is exalted in the sky, and then it begins its descent back around the astrological wheel. So I learned something really fascinating the other day, and the reason why Capricorn, so we have the winter solstice at Capricorn. Why is Capricorn associated with a mountain goat? Have you ever wondered that? Why is it associated with a mountain goat? Well, I haven't worked it out, I've learned why. Because when the sun reaches its lowest point around the astrological wheel on the 21st of December, we know it then stations direct for 3 days. Yeah. And then on the 3rd day, on the 25th of December, it starts going up again. It starts climbing up the cold, wintry months. Do you know what I mean? And that is why Capricorn is the mountain goat. So when we speak about the devil is the darkness. It's the darkness within the night time, because we have the 3 cycles. We have the 24-hour cycle, we have the year cycle, and we have the great year cycle. And so where we're at right now is that we're coming out of a 12,000 year darkness, where we were in the Bronze Ages, the Iron Ages, you know, and now we're going into the Silver Age. And ultimately, when we reach that point of Leo, or at that point of the summer solstice in the great year, that's going to be, I'm sure that will be the age of Leo, when we are fully grounded and anchored in the golden age. Do you know what I mean? But right now we're at that place where we're at 6 a.m. We've come out of the deepest darkness. We've come out of the deepest darkness 100%, and we are now going back up to the light. So my understanding is that the devil is and because Satan is Saturn. Satan is Saturn. Derives from Saturn. Do you know what I mean? And so So it's just all a story about Jesus is the son that is crucified at one of the solstice points. I can't work out which one it is. It's probably quite obvious, but Jesus experiences the crucifixion. When would Jesus experience the crucifixion then? Surely wouldn't it be at the summer solstice, because it then starts its descent? No, it must be the winter solstice. It might, even though that's the return of the light, we reach the darkest point. So I'm quite new to understanding the mystical teachings of the Bible. I've only been learning the last 2 weeks. Come back to me in a couple more weeks. I'm going to have assimilated this on a much deeper level. But that is what I just want to just offer that to everyone. And what I've been learning is that all of our fairy tales, like Red Riding Hood, Jack and Jill went up the hill, Jack and Jill went up the hill, they're going all up, the sun is going up around the ecliptic circle, do you know what I mean? It's going around the astrological wheel. Red Riding Hood, the red represents the sun at the equinox, and the sun starts getting red, and she's getting eaten by the bad wolf. That's the darkness. So there isn't any Satan. There isn't any Satan. All there is this is heaven and this is hell. That's what it is, and the heart meets in the middle. Right. So if we devote our life to just stimulating our lower chakras through loads and loads of sex and hedonism and escapism and all that, that's hell. If you live in separation, right, that's hell. Whereas if you come to the heart, if you love yourself, if you serve your brothers and sisters, if you heal your trauma, if you ultimately, like, we are the temple of God. We are the temple of God. Like, look, temples, these are temples. We are the temple of God. And so the whole point is that we have to work with these vessels to enlighten the vessel.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, of course. Yeah. That's it. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, that's why the darkness has been inverted because of amnesia, because of parasitic forces that have compromised their DNA to play the false gods, and the rulers have tricked humanity out of their divine remembrance and their divine blueprint, because the true darkness is the mother womb to me. Our lower chakras in that area, and the plutonic energies rule the reproductive organs, rule the sexual centers, rule everything connected to this part of our body. So when we kind of die and reborn or get rebirth, the alchemy and transformation that takes place allows our chakras to clear and allows us to ground and anchor the higher dimensional energies, so that it's in our root chakra, so that we ground and anchor heaven on earth in the human vessel, in the vessel. If we're not living a purified life and all those things that you said, I remember being so repelled and upset being exposed to that and being encouraged to have that kind of lifestyle. I refused it. I was like, I can't. I'm like, I'm all about sacred union and I'm in the fairy tale. I'm like, I can't go there. I mean, I had my partying years, but I had major boundaries when it came to the hedonism kind of lifestyle. And there's no judgment again. I had my party years and probably, whatever, but I was all about sacred union and just true divine love. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, the darkness and the devil energy can be the trickster when we don't recognize that we have light and dark within us. We need to not fear our dark. We need to venture into it, do the shadow work, clear out what doesn't serve us, and occupy the darkness as the mother womb, as the soil that accepts seeds from our higher consciousness, from our creative imagination, to birth and co-create this timeline and this reality and our intentions and dreams when we anchor it as seeds in our womb. And men have this too, because they have the feminine and masculine, that we give birth. And the heart, yes, being where we understand love, unconditional love, forgiveness, and like you said, being in service, understanding the trauma and the need to forgive, the need to have compassion and understanding for how ridiculous these programmings have been. Because the inversions and the inverted pentagram, is an inversion of the Divine Mother and trying to separate us from it. And through satanic ritual abuse and harming children, stealing adrenochrome, they are really only holding any power because they've stolen it. They don't have any true power. We hold the power. So if we call our power back and embody the temple and integrate the polarity of light and dark, masculine and feminine, electric and magnetic, we are rising and ascending and recognizing the true divine temple that is a conduit of God, goddess, I feel, and births the magical child, the Christ Sophia. and the inner child, right, which is the zero, and the 𝗟𝗃, which is the fool. And so I just love it. Like you and I could talk forever because we just love this kind of stuff. And there's so much that I'm still learning. And there's a lot that you're bringing to the table. Like, yeah, you know, there's, I mean, it's like, it's never ending. But what I know that we solidly and most like truly know is, you know, what's happening in here and the importance of really bringing into the root chakra, you know, these higher dimensional energies, because without that, people bounce back and forth between higher and lower self, but they live a contradictory life. They can say they're spiritual and doing the work, but if you really aren't purifying your energy centers, your lower chakras, and you're living a contradictory life, you know, and we see that with religion, where people go to church every Sunday to forgive the sins that they seem to never be able to stop committing, but at the same time, they're not lowly humans that are just sinners. You know, it has to be a way of life. It has to be a lifestyle. The church is the nature that surrounds us. We are the temple as well. We are the physical structure. And it has to be a way of life, not something we apologize to God for, keep going to church to redeem ourselves, and then go to a confessional where that priest might be just as filled with pedophilia ways. I mean, who knows? The imbalance in the church because of the patriarchy. Where are the female priestesses? So, I mean, it's all kind of messed up. There's good intent. There are very well-intentioned, amazing people that have been religious, amazing spiritual beings that might engage in those kind of lifestyles. Again, it's no judgment. But really, if we don't do the purifying work, we can literally create disease. We can open dark portals. We can be messing with energies that we don't realize. And it's really not the fault of the people, because the level of indoctrination, mind control, and social engineering is disgusting. And it's at an all-time high. What we're seeing happening to our children right now with like transgender strippers, like in the auditoriums of 3rd grade. I mean, like, what are your thoughts about like the nuts?
Oh no. Oh gosh, that's so disturbing. Well, I think what's happened is that, you know, the pentagram, the inverted pentagram is like they're trying to because it's meant to go, you know, that's the crown.
Well, the Venus transits form a perfect pentagram. The Venus transits, which is the mother energy. So keep going.
So it's meant to be with the crown chakra at the top, and then the 2 bottom are the lower chakras, and then they've twisted it so that to go, oh God, you know, the gods of this world are hedonism, base sexuality, transgenderism, promiscuity, drugs. Like this is the inversion, and everyone has been hoodwinked. Like secularism is the antichrist, as far as I can ascertain. Secularism, the fact that we live in a secular society, like I live in England, like, you know, no, like where is God apart from in these like silly institutions that was just stolen? Like, where's God? Everywhere, everyone is just like shopping, hair, makeup, alcohol, pubs, clubbing. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's no, and this has been an insidious agenda by our controllers. So I have no judgment. There's no judgment to anyone, and ultimately there's no judgment. But we are all given the same sort of starting point within our consciousness to wake up. You know, so everyone can make that choice to begin their awakening journey. So yeah. But I did actually want to just also say that I got inspired to share when you were talking about astrology and about how we must always incorporate the opposite sign. And I just feel like I want to just share a little bit about what's been going on for me, because I'm a Libran, and I've always been very, very, very strongly in my Libran, all about the other, all about service to others, all, like really, really, that has been my gig, you know. But in the last few weeks, I have been really connecting with my Aries energy, and it has been so transforming for me to connect with the I Ram, the Ram presence, the I Ram presence, that I am. And what I'm noticing in that is that I haven't really had much of a defined individuality, because as a Libran, I'm all about the other. I'm all about the partnership. I'm all about serving others. So I've just kind of like let people plagiarize me. I've let myself not be honored as a mentor. There are many different things that I've just kind of let slide because I haven't been activated with my I am presence. And so I'm just noticing now that as on my journey of spiritual mastery, I am now really, really deeply connecting with that Aries energy. And I think it's worth everyone really, really meditating on that, on your opposite polarity, and how you can start bringing in, because I am finding an empowerment and a transformation unlike anything I've ever known through this, through the medicine of my opposite sign, and actualizing, you know, in my case, it would be the Aries. It will be all about the Aries energy, which is about the it's about the rule by the head, and it's about the I am presence, and about your individual stamp. We're all individualized fractals of God. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we have a lot to talk about, and I know I'm just going to segue into a whole nother subject, Laura. I hope you don't mind. Do you want to say something about that though?
No, I mean, yeah, it's just, you know, between the two of us, yeah, it's just saying so much of the same thing, different ways of putting it, different things to point out that really validate these points. And just, you know, there's a massive deprogramming that needs to happen, and major rehabilitation, and total love, unconditional love and forgiveness and understanding, forgiving ourselves, you know, each and every one of us, and anybody who may have harmed us, and just where, you know, humans have been led astray. We have to know what we've been up against, but also not be so victimized to it where it's the blame, shame, victim game either. You know, we have to be empowered. And it's very important, like you said, to look at the opposite sign, understand also your North Node, what you're here to step into and integrate. And what's interesting is the Capricorn energy and the goat, and I have goats and they're like my spirit guides with the Capricorn energy, but I don't think devil. I just think winter, cold, darkness, and the baby steps it takes to climb a mountain, and the achievement of victory, and the higher octaves of Saturn, which is self-mastery and being a teacher, understanding the lower shadow side of every planet, right? Like the shadow side, the lower octaves of Neptune are self-undoing, addiction, delusions, getting undone and getting lost in projections, right? The higher octave of Neptune is like being connected to the multidimensional, the creative imagination, and the angelic source energy, and being very in touch with the unseen realms, whatever that is. So there's shadow sides to the planets and higher octaves. Just like within us, we have our lower self, our shadow self, that we're working to purify, to raise the vibration, right? And to understand the planetary forces that rule us, so that we can rise in the vibration of them, understand where we're caught in the lower energies, and raise our vibration, because it does impact our organs. It creates disease, unwellness, and imbalance. And just know you're not limited to the patternings in your chart as well, because once you break a patterning, you also open up to the opposites. Like you said, you're a Libra, and you're really integrating the Aries energy, and you probably have Aries in you, but based on the transits and different progressions, you know, we begin in our lifetime to cover the whole zodiac, because really we're here to become whole and balanced, integrated, and switching on our divine blueprint. So I just wanted to add that we're speaking pretty much the same thing in different ways, but yeah, you wanted to shift gears. So
I just wanted to say my Aries is in Chiron. My Chiron is in
mine
Aries.
too. Well, our charts are pretty much.
Oh, yes. And my North Node, is it Cancer?
No, it's Capricorn for
us.
us.
It's Capricorn. So South Node is Cancer.
Yes.
But
Saturn's but check it out. But you're right, is in the fact that the South Node is conjunct Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn. So we were born with the integration of polarity already, because our South Node next to Saturn, with the North Node Capricorn, whose ruler is Saturn, means that our South Node already holds the Capricorn energy. So what we're stepping into, we already were born with, but we're breaking the patriarchal programming, doing this work to bring light to divine union. And that's why we like, well, what is so amazing about being born so close together, and the different angles, like you said in the beginning, it's like, you know, when I see what you're doing, I'm like, whoa, you know, like, just like, and just what we've observed with each other, and how we come together in these talks is so cool. So, but
yes, it's an exquisite synergy, and it's and I was thinking about you the other day. I was driving and I was thinking about you, and I was like, I really feel that we were twins in a past life, like twin sisters in a past life, and that we've had many lifetimes together. And I really feel that in this lifetime we knew that this was like the great turning of the cycle, and we were like, okay, we're both going to land in London, and I'm going to stay on this landmass, and you're going to go to America, or big, massive America, not bad America, but big, like America. And I was getting so many goosebumps of thinking of your brave soul of like going there, and then me somehow being anchored on this island, but somehow we have such a phenomenal synergy and a vibrational connection with each other that, and in a way, it's kind of like bridging our American UK families in a way, and our communities. Do you know what I mean? Like, so many of my community is in America, and I think that is related to you on some level, you know,
and vice versa too. Yeah.
There is this synergy, and there's this perfection in these points where we chose to incarnate, you know, and I'm so proud of you, Laura. I'm so proud of you.
Look at the amazing books and the cards and just the art, and you know, and just your story and your art. I mean, your music. I mean, come on, it's just so beautiful. I know we got to kind of close soon. I'm going to have to run to the hotel because I got to catch a plane tomorrow. But
okay, so
I hope to do this again, but
can we just I want to ask one thing.
Sure.
So it is my understanding that we have a firmament above us. Do you adhere to that? That there's this what's called a Vanguard wall or something. I can't remember how to say it, van something wall. But it's the firmament, and that's the reason why rocket ships can't leave our realm. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I remember studying quite a bit of the mythologies and things connected also to the 𝗍𝗻𝗪 and the ionosphere and the veil, you know, and what some would even say, you know, layers that is sort of like the net, or what one would call prison planet, but the prison's really in the mind that needs to be broken. And just the galactic history behind how we fell into this lower harmonic universe, but how it also holds the fullness of our multidimensional self and the Tiamat energy and everything like that. So I am familiar with that. It's been a while since I've used that terminology, but whatever question you want to ask me about it.
Yeah, no, so I'm just trying to understand. It's like, I used to think that, like, you know, like we could fly to the Pleiades, get on a rocket and then just like fly to the Pleiades, but I'm like, I can't even leave the firmament. So it's not a physical place. Like, out there does not seem to be a physical place. It feels to me that it's all vibratory frequency and densities, and because the Pleiadians and the Arcturians and the beings from other star systems, because they reside in a higher frequency, a higher density, like 6th and 7th dimensional beings, they're able to drop down their density to come into our world.
Well, I think
that, yeah, go on.
Oh, well, you said in that what?
Yeah, and I think that is these visitors that we have. They're not just like traveling on a train from the Pleiades to do you know what I mean, to this world. They're traveling like interdimensionally through portals and stuff like that. And I think it's really important that we share about that, because I really believe that's it, because there is this firmament, you can't get through the firmament, you know. But I do believe that the sun is a whole, it's holy, it's the whole that you know, and that the moon is also a whole and is a portal. I really believe that the sun and moons are portals, and that they pierce the firmament, and I believe that in a way that that the sun is connected to heaven and the higher dimensional realms,
the galactic center, the grand central sun.
Yes.
Yeah, real quick, I just wanted to say, and we'll, you know, dive into this in more conversations, that you know, this ascension window period, I feel that has really lifted. Both you and I have written about Andromeda Milky Way integration, the Andromedan galaxy and the Milky Way galaxy coming together, the galactic cores connecting. And when we look at all the planetary grid network and the clearing of Stargate energies, and just, you know, humans waking up, we're able to lift that. And eventually we'll be able to come and go from the physical as we please. But at the same time, you know, as of right now, or in previous cycles, and, you know, 26,000 cycle and the one you were talking about too, that we hold this in our genetics. I feel that beings that are very advanced souls, and I, you know, like, just out of humility, you know, it's hard to say like Jen and I, but whatever. You know, I just know that many of us have had to take human form and drop in density and change a little bit the forms that we used to be in higher earth energies, in previous advanced civilizations of past lives that a lot of people carry, and that this is a little heavier perhaps for a lot of us. And I just absolutely know that you're like a very highly advanced being and an example of what I'm talking about. What I recommend to people is Galactic Heritage, and that's Lisa Royale. And when you do card readings like this and understand the higher harmonic universes is in our DNA, it reminds us of our connection to like Sirius and the Pleiades and Andromeda and the Arcturians and all these different races or ETs that we might externalize. We have to understand that when we raise our vibration and switch on dormant DNA, we are beginning to match that energy, and we begin to have greater access beyond the firmament, right? And so the kind of energy work you and I are doing and many others is in a way like lifting that, because of the activations that remove the frequency fences and seals from our DNA, I feel directly thins that firmament out and allows us greater access. And that we've had to sort of be contained in quarantine for a reason, so that we wouldn't recontaminate the higher earth energies that ended up collapsing. We needed to get our shit together in this free will experience before we would gain access. And if enough of us gained access, and you talk about the event, that we would be able to link into those higher earth energies, but as an awakening within our DNA. And those that aren't ready might still have that firmament around them. And that's sort of like a different timeline or being between the timelines. And what I've come to understand, what like you were talking about, lower chakras being hell, higher heaven, I feel that the term purgatory is purgatory. That's the in-between worlds where we have to purge and clear so that we're not locked between the two, that we're clearing so that we don't end up in the hellish realms, which is more state of mind and the lack of purification. And to be in the heavenly realms, we have to go through a level of purging, which I feel is purgatory, which could be the firmament. I don't know.
Yeah, amen. I understand, Laura, that you want to sort of wrap it up. So before we go, I
could talk to you all day, but
yeah, but you got to go. So I just want us to both let our communities know. So what have you got coming up? What would you like people to know about? Any events?
Yeah, I have an online event. It's a webinar, and it's, I believe, December 4th. You can find it on my website. It says 2 hours, and there is a donation, but it also comes with an hour of Q&A and discounted one-on-one sessions. Yeah, and that's on my website, cosmicgaia.org. And there's a cruise. I know it's a little expensive, but man, if a person can manifest the abundance, it's going to be a lot of fun. Follow my Telegram channel. Yeah, follow my Telegram channel. I post all this stuff. And it's the safest way to keep up with me. That it just got its issues, Telegram, but follow my website, my social media. I have a lot of updates I need to do. What about you? What do you have coming up? I know you're producing incredible material, newsletters. You know, how can people sign up and just receive all the activations and the incredible wisdom that you pour through and all the love? And you're the most generous being, I swear.
Oh, thank you, darling. Can you post your link to your Telegram? Because I really want to join your Telegram on this video.
Go to cosmicgaia.org. You'll see the link on the homepage.
Okay, so what I've got coming up is on Friday, I'm going to be hosting an 11/11 transmission, which is a global ceremony. And we're going to be working very, very deeply with the unification of the twin souls. We're going to be going like into the deepest mysteries and removing many, many, many core blocks that are going to enable this physical union of the twins. Now, actually, we're going to be doing very, very deep work on the 11/11 transmission, because as we know, the capstones have been removed from the pyramids. Why were the capstones removed from the pyramids? That is because, in a way, humanity wasn't really at a point to even understand what the top of the pyramid even means. And the top of the capstone is the symbol of singularity, of the 0-point field. It is now time for the crystal capstones to be etherically returned back to the pyramids. We are going to be working with our galactic brothers and sisters as the ground crew to activate the sort of like the reunion of the pyramid with its capstone. And this is going to be very, very, very epic work, because it's going to be a reflection of the inner and the outer. And this is going to help you on your path of spiritual mastery and to really, really, really deeply stabilize in spiritual mastery. The transmissions can be likened to going to the spiritual gym. I'm like a coach, and I coach you to become a spiritual heavyweight. And it's like you go to the gym and you lift up your weights so that when the shit hits the fan on the third dimension, you do not fall off your surfboard. You are riding your surfboard like a master surfer. That is what it means to be stabilized in enlightened consciousness. And that is the exact purpose of the transmissions. They assist you to stabilize, to become a lighthouse, so that people can lean into your frequency and find their own stability. And this is what it's all about now. So that's the first thing, my first announcement. My second announcement is the fact that many people have been writing to me saying that they've been having such amazing connections with the Miracle Eczema Cream. It's actually an oil. So I still have a little bit of the eczema oil. If anyone wants to purchase it, it is helping so many people. I had 75 blisters on my hand, itching, torturous itching. Within 5 minutes of the oil on my hand, the itching went. Within 24 hours, my hand was healed. So I have this access. And the reason why is because I manifested it through my own spiritual work. I manifested this situation so that I could find the ultimate cure for eczema and all sort of like, you know, skin conditions. So I have this amazing thing. So that's the only thing I want to say, really. Loads of things. I'm writing books. I've got loads of things coming on. Read my books. My books are amazing. Read them. I reckon you should read them.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll have a book out here soon, and it's going to be like 3 eventually. I got a bit hijacked, sabotaged along the way, but it's coming. And yeah, I have a lot of cool products you can find out about on my website. Everything is pretty much on my website, cosmicgaia.org.
What's your top product, Laura?
Well, I've got LifeWave patches, but what I really love is the medicinal foods. And I have it every day, and it's got cacao, maca, mucuna, ashwagandha, chaga, chlorella, spirulina, hemp protein.
Oh wow, I would love some of that.
And there's many like this, and that's under products. And I just like live on this stuff. Like I have it in my coffee. I put a little bit of coffee, and sometimes not any coffee at all. And I'm a Monday. I'm going to start collaborating with. That's one of my favorite herbalists. But you know, EMF protection, touchstone essentials, Ascent nutrition. There's quite a few, and that I use myself. So check it out.
And I think both of us are open to donations for our work as well, because this video is going to go to a lot of people now, Laura. And so I think it'd be really good for us to, you know, because a lot of our work we do for free. Like 90% of my work I do for free. 100%. You do you know what I mean?
Incredible.
So yeah,
I know. Me too. We have donation links on our websites right on my homepage. You can see anything helps if you want to be a subscriber. I do many sessions for people. I do Zoom events. And Jen, I swear you do so much. So yeah, donations, you do so much. It's so cool. And I love spending this time with you today. And thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thank you. Excellent. Well, thank you, everyone. Please share this video. It's been an absolute honor. And no doubt myself and Laura will come back together again. But sharing is caring. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and let's get this out there.
Yes. Okay. Bye.
Bye.